Good morning, everyone. Welcome to downtown Madison. Yes, all right. Welcome to downtown Madison and welcome to the 12th annual Downtown Madison Inc. State of the Downtown Report release. We are very excited for the report that should be in front of everyone. Facts and figures about live, work, and play downtown. We're excited for all of you to join us. Sorry that I just ruined so many great conversations that were happening. So I apologize, but for quite some time. I'm Jason Elstrup, president of Downtown Madison, and it's great to see all of you live, and it's great to see our friends on Zoom as well. There is seating in the front. No one ever wants to sit in the front. Plenty of seating in the front. Well, not much seating in the front, so it's good to see you. Today, we have a really special event with a highlight from a presentation and a speech from our mayor, Satya Rhodes Conway, about what is happening in downtown Madison and where we're going to go in the future. We also have a very interesting panel discussion as well about the report and some details to dive more closely into what's happening here in downtown Madison. All right, so we're welcome you to downtown here for this event, but we want to welcome you back again this coming Saturday for Shine on Madison. On State Street from 4 to 8 o'clock, they've got amazing night market. And at 6:08, hopefully you realize why that time is important. 6:08, we're going to be lighting all the Capitol lights. Our great friends at Madison Central Business Improvement District. I know Tiffany is here. There's a lot of people here. So she's here somewhere. So thank you for the amazing work Madison Central Business District does to bring people downtown. So come join us this Saturday at 6:08 p.m. All right. We also are very thankful for the sponsors that helped make this event possible. There's a whole series of you that helped with this report. This is one of our most important events of the year where we really understand what is happening with downtown. And we couldn't get this report to happen if it wasn't for our partners. So we are so thankful for our major series sponsor today, Carlson Black, O'Callaghan, and Battenberg. They're an amazing firm here right in downtown. And their office is going to be just across the windows from mine in downtown Madison. So it's great. We are excited to welcome Dan O'Callaghan, a partner with Carlson Black, here to say a few words about downtown and about Carlson Black. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, Jason, and good morning, everyone. My name is Dan O'Callaghan. I'm a partner with Carlson Black, O'Callaghan, and Battenberg. We're a firm, as Jason mentioned, located right here in downtown Madison, where we assist clients with land use, commercial real estate development, business, tax, and nonprofit law. Joining me this morning are my partners, Matt Carlson, Angie Black, and Steve Battenberg, along with several other members of the firm. My colleagues and I are longtime members and supporters of Downtown Madison, Inc., and it's our privilege to sponsor today's event. The annual State of Downtown is an event that we look forward to each year. It's an opportunity to celebrate the things that make our community special. But it's more than that. It's also an opportunity for us to pause and reflect on the challenges that we face as a community and consider the things that we might do together to improve that. So my colleagues and I have been fortunate to have had the opportunity to work alongside many of you in the room today on projects that do just that improve our community. And we're happy that our work and the work that you all engage in is what leads to making downtown Madison a great place to live, work, play, and visit for everyone. So on behalf of all of us at Carlson Black, I want to thank DMI for the opportunity to sponsor this morning's event and to thank each of you for caring enough about the state of our downtown to be here with us this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan. It's rare that you get all four named partners in one space. Usually they passed away, 150 years ago. So it's good to see all of you here. Yes, yes. I'm not wishing that up. Never mind. I always get in trouble with the bad joke, but anyway, all right. Thank you, Dan, very much. And a personal thank you. Dan's been a friend of mine for years. We see each other a lot as we train on the Southwest Trail. We were former neighbors, so it's good to see you, Dan. Thank you very much. We also, a lot of other sponsors that make this What's Up Downtown happen. We've got our great friends at Ho Chunk Gaming Madison, the State Bank of Cross Plains, TDS Telecom, with special contributors at the Edgewater Hotel, UW Health, Unity Point Health, Meritor. Thank you to all these sponsors for making this happen. All right. We are also pleased to recognize the State of the Downtown sponsors that are listed on the screen. Many of you helped participate to make this report happen. And again, this is a vital report for our work as we move forward. So thank you to all of them listed here today. We bring this full circle because this report started in 2010 with an idea of Matt Carlson, who was chair at the time, and Susan Schmitz, who I know is here. They decided we needed a baseline of information about what is happening downtown. And we are excited to have 12 years of this report. And for 12 years, we have been working with an absolutely outstanding partner in Nelson Schmidt to make this report happen. And this year, as you can see, it's a vastly different report from the report we've seen in the past. And Nelson Schmidt did an incredible job of bringing this report to life. And the online version, you can click into different resources like this and that, and make sure that you can see exactly where the data is from and learn more about what's happening. And we're excited for future years where we go even deeper with the data and the information. So huge thank you to our friends at Nelson Schmidt. But this report comes at a key time for downtown. Obviously, the last few years have been difficult for downtowns across America and including in Madison here. But it creates a point of inflection or a point of reimagination, right? And we can see that reimagination happening now with investment happening and pouring in hotels, in multifamily residential, and in modern office spaces. The pedestrian counts are up significantly over the last 2 years at 1.5 million pedestrians walking under the counters on State Street and King Street in downtown Madison. So, but we're still recovering from the pandemic. And we hope these numbers in this report will give you a baseline as to where we are today, but also the work we need to do and to sustain, grow, and reimagine downtown Madison as a place where everyone belongs. We encourage the residents, the businesses, and the community organizations and city officials to join us at Downtown Madison Inc. in using this information in this report to help ensure that downtown Madison is an economically strong, inclusive, equitable, and vibrant place to live, work, and visit. Now, we're on to our keynote speaker for today. We are excited and honored to have City of Madison Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway with us this morning. Whether it's during your time in the mayor's office or at the Mayor's Innovation Project at the University of Wisconsin's Center on Wisconsin Strategies, or serving 3 terms on the Madison City Council, Mayor Rhodes Conway has been working to sustain and better Madison and our downtown for years. We are incredibly pleased to have her this morning and provide some remarks on the major issues and opportunities impacting our downtown and highlight what we see in the future for the City of Madison here in downtown. So it's my pleasure to welcome Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. There we go. It's such a delight to be here. I'm going to apologize for a couple of things in advance. First of all, the City Council adjourned just shy of midnight last night, and we'll be back tonight for the second night of budget. I sincerely hope not for a third night, but we'll see. And secondly, I do have a little bit of a head cold, so I'm not sounding as I usually sound. My apologies for that. And thirdly, because of the first 2 things, I will be zipping out right after I speak to all of you. And I hope you will forgive me for not staying to mingle and chat afterwards. But it's really a delight to see so many people in this room, so many familiar faces and friendly faces. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for caring about our downtown enough to come and spend your morning with us. I want to acknowledge that Alder Patrick Heck is in the room. Thank you, Alder, for joining us in person. And that I believe Alder Mike Verveer is joining us virtually. So thank you, Alders, for being here. And there's a number of city staff in the room as well. If I could have just city staff raise your hands so folks can see. And in particular, my deputy mayor, Dr. Linda Vacunta, is here if you want to connect with my office. And I point that out because, you know, there's a number of staff and different agencies that work downtown on a regular basis. And I want you to know how committed city staff are in my offices to the success of Madison's downtown. I want to talk a little bit about some of the work that we've been doing, but also talk about where I think we're going, where I hope we're going together. And it's funny, Dan, I just literally before you spoke, I had just written down vision, a thriving downtown to work, live, play, and visit. And then you took the words right off the page. So it's nice to know we're in the same place. But that is the vision, right? A thriving downtown where we have folks coming from all across the country and all across the world, thanks to the good work of Destination Madison. Thanks for being here, LA. And where folks are coming also from, just across the city to visit, to play, to shop, to dine, to go to the theater, to listen to the symphony, to walk around the Capitol Square, to visit the farmer's market, whatever it might be, but also to work. And perhaps most importantly, to live. It does take all of those things to make a successful downtown. And we have, I think, real strength in all of those things. And that's important. I'm not traveling nearly as much as I was pre-pandemic. I'm not sure any of us are. But one thing I notice when I go visit other cities is their downtowns are not back like ours are. I mean, I would argue that many other cities' downtowns were never what Madison's downtown is. But it's very stark to me, just the pedestrian traffic that you see in Madison, I'm not seeing as much in other cities. And so it's been a very hard stretch, but I think that we are coming back. I think we're coming back faster and better than other places. And I think we can do even better than we're doing today. And I think a lot of that is due to a really strong foundation and to the work of many people in this room. But again, I want to just highlight a few of the things that we're doing at the city and talk about what I think is next. So I want to start with housing, because I really do believe that having people live downtown is one of the key pieces of a successful downtown. And we're seeing a lot of new housing proposals downtown, which is very exciting. I hope you all know we do have a housing crisis here in Madison. And so we do need to be adding housing units. We could use about 4,000 right away if anybody has a magic wand. Anne, do you have one of those? No. Okay, good. But so we have a deficit right now to get us to a healthy market. But then we need to be adding about 2,000 units citywide every year to keep up with population growth. So that's a lot. And I'm really grateful that downtown is contributing to the number of units that we need to be building in our community. And I'm thankful to the staff at the city that are really working to facilitate the development of more housing. And I'm thankful to the folks in the room. There's folks that are architects, contractors, developers, attorneys, bankers, brokers. There's a lot of people that are involved in making a housing development work. And so thanks to all of you that have a role in that. One project I want to call out is the State Street Campus Garage, where we'll be not only building a new parking garage to replace what's there, but we'll also be adding, finally, again, returning to Madison having an intercity bus terminal. So we can get those buses off of the streets and into a terminal. And we'll be adding a significant amount of student housing on top of that. And I want to thank our partners, Mortensen, for their work there. We are very, very close to that deal being finalized, and I'm very excited about it. We expect council to take this up actually yet this month. We're also looking to capture some of the value that's being created in the East Wilson Street area to pick up increment from the Judge Doyle Square development, which by the way, is happening. Has anybody noticed that? So we actually are moving forward on Judge Doyle Square. There's construction happening, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to finish that project in the not too distant future. But we're looking to capture the increment there so that we can support the infrastructure improvements needed, but also potentially use some of that increment to support the vision for the Lake Monona waterfront, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a minute. And we are expecting to start an RFP process for the development of the Brayton lot sometime in 2023. We're leveraging that land as part of the bus rapid transit project, which means that we will be needing to develop it in the not too distant future. And so stay tuned. We haven't written that RFP yet. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself or staff, but I would suspect that that will be a place that we'll be looking for housing as well. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, please do connect with staff. I also want to, before I leave the question of housing, talk briefly about our approach to serving people who are experiencing homelessness in our community, because for decades, downtown really bore the brunt of providing those services. And for the most part, downtown did it gracefully and generously. But it was a long time, and it was not the best approach to ask people to live out of church basements. When the pandemic hit, we knew that that was not viable as a long-term solution. And so we pivoted and pivoted and pivoted to where we are today, which is on track to build not just Madison's, but Wisconsin's first purpose-built shelter for men experiencing homelessness. And we have a site, we have a team, and we are in the process of designing that facility. Currently, folks are sheltered out at Zire Road. Our engineering team did an amazing job transforming that building. But that is not a long-term solution either. Every step we take, we get a little better at this, and I'm confident that when we actually have a purpose-built shelter, it will be a much better situation, not just to house people temporarily, but to invite people in, to connect them to services, to allow them the space to breathe, and to connect in ultimately to a permanent housing situation. And at the same time, the Salvation Army is embarking on a project to create a similar purpose-built shelter for women and families on East Washington. And both of these efforts together are desperately needed in our community, not, again, just to provide shelter, but to provide a path to a home for everyone. And so I want to thank Downtown for what you've done in helping to work on the issue of homelessness. And I want to ask for your continued support as we create these purpose-built solutions and really take a completely different approach to homelessness in our community. Thank you. And I would be remiss in if I was talking about construction work and didn't talk about a very exciting project, which is the Wisconsin Historical Museum. We are starting to work with the Historical Society team on the land use and real estate items that are needed to make this exciting project come to fruition. And I hope you all will stay up to date on that. It's very exciting that we can keep that downtown, and I'm really looking forward to it. In part because of the economic development benefits that having destinations downtown bring. So let me talk a little bit then about economic development efforts. I want to start by thanking those of you who have offices downtown who are actually using them. You laugh, but it's true. The city some time ago, well, I mean, I should start by saying, about 60% of city workers just don't have the option to work remotely. And so they were working in person day in, day out, and I'm incredibly grateful to them. But we have been back in office for quite a while now. That doesn't mean that everybody is in every office every day. We have a fairly flexible teleworking policy, but it is on an individual basis, and each person needs to work out with their supervisor if they're able to telework and how much. And it was important to me for city staff to come back, not just because it felt equitable with about 60% of our workforce not being able to telework, but also because it's important for people to be downtown. And it's important for us to support our small businesses with those coffees and sandwiches, or stopping by to run an errand or whatever it might be. And that only happens if people are downtown. So thank you sincerely to those of you who are back in office. And thank you to the service and retail businesses who stuck it out and are still with us. We're all figuring out how to do this going forward. And I know that each of us is going to have to make our own decisions about our approach to virtual versus in person. But I at least would argue for the benefit of a thriving downtown community that some time in office is a very good thing. And the city will continue to support our businesses, and particularly our businesses downtown, through a sort of potpourri of grant programs that we've developed that I think helped a number of folks get through the pandemic, and I hope now will help people grow. Those include the building improvement grants, our facade grants, and various other opportunities through our small business equity and recovery program that are available to small businesses. We also, of course, invest in the infrastructure that makes all of this possible, and invest in our public amenities. We will be upping that investment in the downtown area through the new State Street TID, the famous TID 50, which is finally on its way, and provided that the council adopts the budget, will come to be in the very near future. And we have just shy of $1 million reserved in that TID plan for business support. We've learned a lot, I think, over the past couple of years by listening to small businesses and getting their feedback to actually craft programs that we believe will be useful. But we are, of course, always still listening. So if there are needs or if programs don't fit something that your business needs, please do let our economic development team know. I say we are substantially back. Obviously, there's always room to do better. But I do think that some of the numbers are going in the right direction. And obviously, you have the report. And anytime you would like to know about room tax revenue or visitor projections, Ellie would be happy to give you all of that information. But we're starting to see an increase in special events returning downtown, which is reflected in our room tax revenue, which had a noticeable jump in 2022 compared to 2021. And we saw that the number of permitted downtown events almost doubled between 21 and 22, which is really exciting. And I think, again, a sign of strength and recovery. Some of those events include things like Madlit, which has just been, I think, really successful. And I'm excited about that, the future there. And before I leave the question of economic development, I just have to mention, it's a small thing, but it's one of my favorites, and that is the Culture Collective's pop-up shops. We're so thrilled with this program, and really a huge thank you to all the partners that make it possible. This is one of the small ways that the City of Madison is helping businesses that did not have a brick and mortar place to try out having a brick and mortar place, and to learn and potentially to grow. So they're on the 400 block We had Upstate Street, we had a total of 13 vendors that had the opportunity to come through those spaces. And we've had one vendor move into her own space. Another is looking to purchase his own space. And others have learned, I think, really important lessons about their businesses, including one who I spoke with who said, I figured out that actually I do better online. And so I'm gonna really lean into my online business, and I don't need to have a brick and mortar space. And I think that is a success as well. Because what it's about is supporting the small business and their long-term success. So I'm really thankful again to the staff who have made that possible, and look forward to us continuing to help small businesses, whether it's in that location or in other locations. Perhaps some of you have a storefront that you would like to have a pop-up shop in, and we'd be delighted to talk about that. We've seen other things come back this year. Obviously, the farmers market, concerts on the square, Taste of Madison, having our arts and crafts vendors there, I think was really a benefit for them and for us. And obviously, the Streetery program has brought life to our streets on a much more regular basis. And I honestly, I'm not really sure why it took a pandemic for us to get to Streeteries, but I'm really glad that we did. And don't worry, they're not going anywhere. It's a permanent program now. I think it's a real benefit, obviously, to the businesses involved, but also to our downtown and to street life. So we're also always working to improve that process and make sure that when you come in, whether it's for a streetery or a grant or whatever it might be, that the applications are clear and simple and accessible to everybody. I want to pivot a little bit and talk about our waterfront. I am so excited about the Lake Monona Waterfront project, and I hope all of you have had a chance to see some of the concepts that were presented at the last meeting. For those of you who aren't tuned into this, we're running a design challenge, which was a sort of unusual new thing for the city, but it turns out to have been a wildly successful process so far. We attracted 14 internationally known firms who wanted to compete to give us their best designs for the stretch between Law Park and Olin Park. And we picked, I appointed, thank goodness, I appointed a committee to do this, because I don't know how I would have picked. But we had a committee that picked the top 3. Those top 3 are doing a design sprint now. Committee will pick a finalist, and that finalist will make the master plan and be compensated for such. The finalists are all getting compensated. But they are about at the midpoint right now. They just did a presentation on some of their concepts. Some of them, I think, didn't want to tip their hands too much. They didn't show us a lot of drawings or anything. But some of the concepts are just fascinating. And I'm really excited about what's possible. This is all about getting people to the waterfront. It's all about improving access, not just for folks who are downtown, but for everybody. And that means a lot of things. It means improvements to the waterfront. It means improvements to the transportation infrastructure. It means improving safety all the way around. But I'm really excited about the potential here, and I hope you are as well. One of the reasons that I'm excited is because a lot of the concepts that we saw really lean into the idea of ecological restoration and acknowledging that our climate is changing. And that's another thing that I just want to touch on briefly, because it's not certainly specific to downtown, but it's unavoidable downtown. Our climate is changing, and it's incumbent upon us to both reduce our contributions to that, but also to adapt and to make sure that downtown is going to be resilient to the impacts of a changing climate. Things like heat island effect will be worse downtown because we have more pavement downtown. And so we need to be thinking about how are we going to mitigate that? How are we going to provide respite, provide cooling, provide more greenery wherever we can. And places like the Lake Monona waterfront are going to be very important as part of that. So I'll ask you again, as I always do, to be mindful of our climate, to be mindful of your greenhouse gas footprint, the greenhouse gas footprint of your business, and to do what you can in concert with the city to reduce it, so that we can maintain a livable planet and, of course, a livable downtown at the same time. I want to talk a little bit about resources, because everything I've talked about involves somebody spending money, and a fair amount of that is the city. But one of the things that we've been trying to do under my administration is to take advantage of every single penny of federal money that is available to us and to bring that home to Madison. There's no reason that those funds should go to another community. We are very worthy of investment from the federal government, and I believe in being aggressive about our pursuit of federal funds. And so to date, we've applied for just shy of 80 million in bipartisan infrastructure law funds. I don't know that we'll get all of them, but we are, again, pursuing a number of different grant proposals throughout the city, including work that would be downtown. Some of the projects are the reconstruction of the John Nolan Drive bridges, investment in safe streets for all through a number of different safety projects, intersection improvements, pedestrian bike improvements throughout downtown and the UW campus, and improvements to the railroad corridors near Union South. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. And we are constantly monitoring the federal grants that are available and applying for those we think that we are competitive for. And that's just the new funding applications that we're seeking. Over the last 3 years, we've received over 400 million in federal grants, including many that have benefited downtown, whether that's through the creation of the all-electric bus rapid transit system, which is breaking ground in December, investments in small businesses and economic recovery, investments in public safety downtown, or in transportation safety. So that's a lot, and you've all been quite patient with me. There's a lot happening downtown and across the city. And I just want to return to where I started, which is a thriving downtown where you can live, work, play, and visit. It's important that we keep that vision in mind. I think we're still at least thinking of ourselves as in the recovery process, and we get to make choices about how we recover. And I hope that together we make choices that are thoughtful and intentional to not just return to what was, but to return to something better, something more inclusive, something more sustainable, and a more vibrant downtown. None of this is possible without the incredible partnerships that we have downtown. And as much as I feel strongly about the vision for downtown and the city's role in promoting it, I know that the work that we do is only as good as our collaborators and our partnerships. And so I'm really thankful, particularly for DMI and their leadership in making sure that there is a strong downtown vision and that we are based in data, which you all know that I love, and that they are keeping us on track by understanding where we've been, where we're going, and where we want to be. So let me just end there with thank yous. Thank you to DMI. Thank you to all the sponsors of this event. Thank you to all of you for taking the time to be here and to listen. It's my honor to serve as your mayor, and I really appreciate all of your investments in downtown, whether that's, again, living, working, playing, visiting, or all of the above. Thank you.
A huge thank you to Mayor Satya Rhodes Conway. There were a ton of projects that were listed there, and we are so thankful to partner on many of those projects, whether or not it's the purpose-built shelter, the Brayton lot. It's great to hear that that project is potentially moving forward. The intercity bus station, JDS, these are projects that us as an organization and our community has been working on for a long time. So thank you as well. And the History Museum and what's going to happen with the 400 through 600 blocks of State Street and SBER and Culture Collective. There are so many positive things happening downtown. And I want to say, again, a huge thank you to the mayor. I remember being on stage with Ellie about a year ago at Cap Times Idea Fest, where the mayor said we were going to be bold with the Lake Winona waterfront. And she lived up to that promise. And if you are not paying attention to this project, I highly recommend you pay attention. This is a project that we have not seen in generations here in Madison, a 1.7 mile stretch. It runs from Machinery all the way through Olin Park. And these are amazing firms that are working at it, but it'll only be as good as all of you community members that are a part of it. So we encourage you to stay involved. All right, we've got 4 amazing panelists here today that are going to talk about some different things in downtown and where we are in downtown today and where we are going to in the future moving forward. First up, to my left and to your, I don't know, maybe left, Chris McIntosh, that was hard to figure out. Yes. Chris McIntosh, Director of Athletics at the University of Wisconsin, and a great win last night for the Badgers. And we hope another great win for the women tonight. If you want to do one thing and get on the Marissa Mosley train, she is an amazing coach and a BU alumni. Go Terriers. Matt Carlson, maybe the only ones in the room, but there you go. Next up, we have Allie Westman-Chin, the president and CEO of Destination Madison, and we're lucky enough to have her on our board of directors. Speaking of our board of directors, we have our chair. So my boss, Mark Richardson, who is also in his day job. Yes, kudos to that. The president and founder of Unfinished Business LLC. And last but certainly not least, another one of my bosses. We just brought up all the board members here. Chris, do you want to join the board of directors of DMI? Just kidding. No pressure, no pressure. And Mia Morrison, a shareholder at Urban Land Interest and a principal at New Investment and our chair of our Economic Development Committee. And we're going to start right with you. We've got a little bit of limited time, so we're going to go relatively quickly here.
All right.
What economic opportunities and challenges do you see for downtown Madison? And what is needed to grow and create opportunities for all people to afford housing and secure employment in downtown?
Thank you. Oh, good. This is working. I know we're feeling a little rushed, but I think I want to echo a lot of what the mayor said. So a lot of what she said is totally what I would have said too, A. B, you can come to Economic Development Committee with EDC and you can hear a lot of the discussions on what really is happening monthly in our Economic Development Committee meetings. And then 3, like, this report is great. So congratulations to DMI staff and to so many of you who contributed to it. A lot of the fast facts that I would talk about here today are really in this report. So if you're wondering, how is downtown office real estate doing? There's some facts in here. Thank you, Broadwing. And if you're wondering how multifamily is going, thank you, CBRE Gretchen. And if you're wondering, there's just a lot in here. So and Heather Ewing talking about retail. So please do check out this report. Downtown, we're not pivoting anymore, I hope. I've got that off my bingo square. I don't even want to inflect anymore. I think we're like adapting and creating. And I think the word is resilience for downtown. Economically, we have a relatively resilient economy downtown. And it's important that we keep it and we not lose sight of the areas that are needing more attention right now. So to the mayor's point, we need some more people in some offices. Like, you guys are paying rent and there's a lot of great stuff happening and you should be down here. We're seeing at our Urban Land Interest Managed portfolio, we are seeing people coming back downtown. I think we're back to over 80% of the folks that were coming into work are now coming back into work, and we need the rest of them. Healing does, I think Wendell Berry quote, healing does not happen in loneliness. It's the opposite. So to heal, we need you to come downtown and be present. And it's so nice to see everybody in the room today. So office is an area that we're watching, that we want to kind of fully recover. And I think we are well on our way there. People are starting to stop pivoting and starting to really think creatively about what they need to adapt to their new workforces, whether they're really saying hybrid did not work, or, hybrid did work and we need more, we need less. We're seeing that adapting happening. And some of the challenges to adapting are really the economic challenges that also are making housing hard in this area. And those are, interest rates, supply chain, and general inflation are the challenges that we're facing on converting spaces on the commercial side and on housing, which is, I think, what was part of that question. You gave me a big one. But we are adding a lot of housing downtown. As the mayor said, we need to add a lot more. It's a great place for housing. It's where transit is, it's where amenities are, it's where people are coming back to work downtown. And so we do need to be adding that housing. I think 3 people asked me this morning, do we really need more housing? Yes, we really need more housing at all income levels in order to have that resilient downtown. So I'm mindful of letting other people talk. Is that right?
You're good cut off of it.
Okay.
A couple of points I just want to make sure that we're talking about here. Right. A successful downtown has a lot of different workers downtown, office workers, hospitality. It has a lot of residents. It has a lot of tourists that are coming in. So thank you, Ellie. And it has a lot of folks coming from Wanakee or Middleton or whatever coming in from downtown. What we've seen is we need to create magnets to bring these people to downtown. And that's what we're trying to do as an organization. And I can't think of a better and stronger magnet than the work that Chris McIntosh is doing at the athletic department. You are an absolute major economic driver for downtown Madison and our community. You talk about what this impact and what it means as we continue to see more and more events and activities happening with hundreds and thousands of people coming to back downtown. What does UW Athletics mean for downtown and for our community?
Yeah, thank you, Jason. I like to think that there's some good news to share, and for those that aren't familiar with our program, we've got 23 varsity sports. We've got 400 staff to the athletic department that are in person in the office every day. And we accept just under 2 million visitors through our gates each year. And I'm excited to share, the outcome or the product of our most recent economic impact study, which would show almost $750 million of economic impact, 757, I'm sorry, not billion.
Wow, that would be awesome. Yes.
750,
if that was the number.
$757 million.
Still huge.
Of economic impact to the state of Wisconsin and $462 million of economic impact to the city of Madison. On a typical Saturday where we accept almost 80,000 fans through our gates at Camp Randall, each of those events generates $19 million of economic impact to the city of Madison.
I'm sorry, one football game generates $19 million.
That's correct. That's correct. And so,
well, I should know that being the former manager of Hotel Red, but yes.
I would argue though, or I would implore that, those customers that are coming to town, yes, some of them are from town, some of them are pulled in from all over areas of the state, all over the country. It takes more than just the team on a field to attract them. And the city of Madison has become such an attractive place to visit. Those stays are more than one day. They're not day trips for our people. And so, one of the keys or one of the themes I hear today is reimagining what the city of Madison could be to be more attractive to those guests that come through. We're happy to play a role in that ecosystem, but we're certainly not alone in that. And so I would encourage everyone to participate or to think about what the city of Madison could offer to try to build off of this foundation of success that we have today.
Well, honestly, you continue to add more of that magnet. It's a magnet, it's a theme here, but the magnet, the attraction with what you've done with the new South End Zone, right? The changes you're making at the Cole Center now. And I want to say a huge thank you to your team and Jason King in particular. You've really helped reimagine with Ann Morrison and several of us what could happen on Regent Street, right? This could be the next East Washington and all the development that's happening there. So you talked about tourism, and I think tourism is a major part of the economy, right? Pre-pandemic in 2019, tourism spending, this is right out of this report, was $304 million out in downtown. It's a quarter of all spending in Dane County happens in tourism here in downtown. Obviously, that number lagged to 114 million, but it's back up to 188 million. I think we're seeing some real positive numbers, Ellie. So given the significant impact of tourism on our community and on our local economy, what is the state of tourism right now in downtown and in the greater Madison area? And where are we compared to pre-pandemic numbers?
Good morning, everyone. So you always run the numbers before I can run the numbers.
Yeah, sorry.
Numbers. So you can share the downtown numbers. I'll give you more of the city and Dane County as a whole. But in 2019, our Direct visitor spending impact was $1.4 billion. We fell to $783 million in 2020 and increased that back to $1.05 billion in 2021. And some of our team wasn't very excited about those numbers. I was, because for the first 5 months of 2021, we had heavy restrictions still, if you remember. I remember because I was brand new to town. And I was like, oh, wait, we can't host conventions yet. So to get back to $1.05 billion with 5 months of the year, pretty restricted, where we had 39 conventions and events move out of our town because they couldn't get to the capacity they wanted to be at, I think is pretty spectacular. So I feel super confident that in 2022, we're going to see, when we get our numbers for this year, I think we're going to see phenomenal growth in our tourism spending. I was just in DC for a meeting and I was talking to someone from DC. Their office occupancy is 20%. If you've been to DC lately, it is a ghost town. You walk around, it's almost eerie. And so, you know, when I walk around downtown, and I love walking around on game day, you know, some people are like, ooh, I hate going downtown on game day. I'm like, that's my favorite time. I know. They're like, all those students are down there and they're everywhere. And I'm like,
I'll send them my email.
So I love it because I think between the incredible work UW, and thank you so much for your partnership, what you all are doing, what the residents are getting out and getting downtown, because shops are opening and the restaurants are active, and in the maybe not a day like today, but usually we have streetery. The vibe is so cool. And I had so many people come up to me at this conference and they're like, I just can't wait to get back to Madison. I can't wait to get Madison because the vibe there is unexplainable. It's just so amazing. So I think tourism is on the rise. All of our forecasting numbers look really strong. If we stay on track, when we forecast all the time, I'm sure a lot of your industries do too, but it's like big in our office, like, what does that look like? What does that look like? So when, you know, as COVID continued into 2020, we were getting a lot of forecasts that said tourism's not coming back until 2025, like just settle into that. And I was like, we can't wait that long. You know, we want those visitors back. We want the money they're spending back in our community. And thanks to a lot of hard work by a lot of people on our team, I have Destination Madison's a great team, and a lot of people in this room and your partnerships and UW and athletics. We're going to get back to 2019 numbers by mid 2023. So we're looking really strong on our forecast to get back to a very healthy state from a visitor perspective as we move forward. But, you know, one of the big things we kept hearing is the last 2 years have been really difficult for all of us, right? It's been difficult on the work front. It's been difficult at home. When we travel, we just want ease of travel. And that's what we ran our first recovery campaign on, was that ease of travel. You know, like, it's just easy when you get to Madison to have fun in Madison. You can walk everywhere. You can get on the lakes. You're going to have amazing dinners. And it's working. And we've never really run a concentrated, really focused year-round leisure campaign before. And leisure is what's leading the charge on recovery. And we've expanded our market to a 500-mile drive radius. And it's really working well. And Kate Dell's here, our Vice President of Marketing, and she's done a phenomenal job in leading this charge for us. But it's really fun to see the weekends filled up. Now we just got to get that business travel back. And when I was just in DC, we were having long conversations about these blending of markets, because for years and years and years in tourism, you have the business traveler and you have the leisure and you have the group, meaning meetings and sports, and then you have international. Well, leisure and business is blending because now we know how to work remotely. So if our friend or our partner's traveling to a really cool city, guess what? I'm coming with you. And I'm going to work in the hotel room while you go to your conference or your meetings, and then we'll play at night. So we're starting to see some pretty good Sunday night numbers. Not great, but better than usual, because usually Sunday nights are like the worst night of the week for occupancy. So now it's like, where are we going? And then how do we respond to that? Because we want everybody bringing their friends and their partners to Madison to play while that person's in meetings or conventions or whatever, you know, whatever they're going to be in. So I feel really positive about where we're headed. I want to thank everybody. I see so many faces that I know in the room and so many people who have helped me along as I transitioned in. But I think we are on a great trajectory to get tourism back, not to 2019, because now I kind of think that's boring. Like for 2 years, we're like, when are we going to get back to 2019? So we have a new 3-year strategic plan we're going to launch in January. But our goal is to get to $2 billion. Like, we're going to blow by 1.4 billion. Let's just move on straight up to $2 billion and get that money back in our city.
That here. We are with you 100% on that goal. Now, what I think is the best part about a downtown is a concept called the power of proximity, right? It's bringing people together, different people from different backgrounds with different ideas to create new and innovative thoughts and businesses. And you see this happening. We've done it as humans forever. But oftentimes downtown and downtown Madison in particular hasn't been a place where everyone has felt like they belonged. And we've got, an expert in the field here with Mark Richardson. I want to ask you, what opportunities and challenges do you see regarding equity in downtown Madison, especially as it relates to employment and job opportunities?
Talk about a big question, right? And noted, you had me go last, so that's going to go down on your review. So,
which my review is in like 6, I think it's in 5 days.
It's in 4 days and 6 hours.
Yeah.
So, big question. I think challenges. I think our history is a challenge. I think where we've been and how we got here is probably one of the bigger challenges in the city. Now, I don't want to be a downer because I love the positivity coming from this group, and anybody who knows me knows that I'm a positive guy, right? So the question is, how do we take positivities like potential, right? It'll get you fired if you don't execute on it. And so we need to execute on some positivity. We need representation downtown. And we talked about Madlet. The mayor's not here. I just promoted her. The mayor's not here, but she mentioned Madlet and Rob Dees, and nice job, Tiffany, for getting that up and running. Representation, that's a spoken word, and it happens on Friday nights. And if you haven't been to it, you got to go to it. It's super cool, but it's people of color gathering, doing what we do, right? Representation matters. And so one of the challenges about getting people downtown is having something for them to go to, right? And so we need to be brave. I like the adaptation, but I'm gonna call it evolving. We need to evolve. The disruption has already happened, right? COVID's already happened. Everybody already was working out of their house for 2 years, right? So the disruption has already happened. So how do we get back, but better than we were? So storefronts, pop-up shops, these things matter, and these things are starting to happen. But let's not just have them be pop-up shops. Let's have them be permanent shops, right? Let's have them be permanent shops where people can gather, right? Give me some of this. Let's look at what we're doing for music and for entertainment, because there's been a struggle to get R&B and to get hip hop and to have a place to live, right? We've got to have a way to do that, right? So representation matters. People value what they have ownership in. And so that's thing one. As it comes to hiring and employment, intentionality is where we need to be. We need to be intentional about diversifying our teams for the same reasons you just said. We need to diversify our teams. We need to have, we need to see different and hear different. And it needs to be a place where everybody is celebrated, not just tolerated. Okay, so if the question is, how do we get there? This is where we need to go. And like I said, I'm a positive person. When it comes to employment and hiring, this disruption actually could provide an opportunity, right? So like standard or traditional pools have dried up, and you can't just pick up the phone and call the person you've been calling for years to get the next person, which should enable and should provide an opportunity for somebody else. And so when it comes to hiring, it's the three big, it's the fourth question. The three big ones: can they do the job? Not have they done the job somewhere else, but can they do the job? And I know some of you hear me because I know some of you have made some moves in this direction. So can they do the job? Thing one. Can we afford them? Important. If someone wants 6 figures in a bonus and it's a $60,000 a year job, then that's a pretty short conversation. But can they do the job? Can we afford them? Do they want to be here? Are they excited for the opportunity as we move through the process and we're in front of search panels and all that good stuff? Can they do the job? Can we afford them? Do they want to be here? Fourth question, as it relates to this: do they bring something new to the team? Do they bring something to the team that we don't have or don't have enough of? And if we're serious about this work, and I heard the word intentionality, then we're asking that fourth question. And if two candidates are in front of you and you're serious about this, and the first three answers are yes on both candidates, and the fourth question is yes for one of the candidates and no for the other, then you have your hire. You have to make it. So that's what we need to do.
Wow. So thank you to all of our panelists. Your first section reminds me of our good friend's quote that she said many times to us, Angela Russell, the Chief Diversity Officer at CUNA Mutual, who says we need to be building soulful places and soulful spaces for every soul in our downtown to make sure that everyone belongs. All right, we only have a few seconds left. In fact, we don't. It's 9:01. But I'm going to take prerogative here. One item that you all can do, just one item that could be a magnet to bring everyone back downtown. I'm going to start with you, Ann.
Wait, I'm supposed to come up with this idea.
Yes,
right
one
now.
magnet. What would you do? What's the one thing you would do to bring people back downtown? Magic wand.
Oh, gosh. I'm going to pass. Give me a second.
Fine, fair enough. I'll go.
You're a magic wand for housing. So keep going, Mark.
We do need more help.
I would work with Chris McIntosh and Ellie Westman Chin to bring an HBCU in to play the Badgers non-conference.
All right. There we go. A real examples. Ellie. I can say it for you.
I have like 100 ideas in my
Well, give
mind.
me one.
Okay, let's see, what would I do? One of the things that we're working on is a program called Hospitable Me, which is a program that helps our community get ready for Pride Month and to invite visitors in who are in the LGBTQIA plus community to really experience Madison and all the great things we have to do.
Chris?
We need to lean into the Regent Street corridor to create an attractive offering that can be utilized year round to incorporate some of the amenities that Mark mentioned earlier to make it relevant to the people that we'd like to be in our city.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And
I'll just piggyback on Chris's because he made it easy for me. A lot of folks are working on the other half of Regent Street, which allows this resilience for Regent Street, which is a major connector in downtown. So between Bayview and the CDA's effort to redevelop their public housing properties and to add public housing and affordable housing in the triangle, I'm hoping that can be a great complement to all the work you're doing on that side of Regent Street. But I do think these corridors, we have a lot of opportunities in Madison, so we should make sure we're doing them right. And come to more events like this.
I love it. Well, Ann, thank you. You are doing the work with the CDA project and your investment. So thank you much. Thank you very much to Chris, to Ellie, to Mark, and to Ann for all their work they're doing in downtown. And a thank you to all of you as well for being here today. All of you in some way make downtown a place that's vibrant, equitable, inclusive, where everyone belongs. So let's keep up the work. Thank you to our sponsors, Carlson, Black, O'Callahan, and Battenberg, Ho-Chunk Gaming, Madison, the State Bank of Cross Plains, TDS Telecom, the Edgewater Hotel, UW Health, Unity Point Health Meritor. And I want to give a special 1 second thank you to the Edgewater staff. As a former member of the hospitality community, I like to say hospitalitarian, thank you for all you're doing. This is difficult work. 4,500 people in downtown work in hospitality. That is a huge, about 10% of our downtown employment. And a huge thank you because they work really hard hours, really long hours, and really they do great work. So thank you. And be nice to them. Be nice to them. Lastly, I want to thank the DMI Board of Directors, particularly since my review is in a few minutes here. And last but not least, the DMI staff. We would not be here today if it wasn't for this team. John Cernelia, our Vice President, Madeline Plummer, our Programming and Office Manager, Izzy Stern, our Policy Researcher, Heather is somewhere, our Director of Development and Membership, and then also Gabriel Terrell here today. This is an amazing team. I am so fortunate to be part of it every single day. Speaking of being part of it, we'll see you down here this weekend. Join Tiffany at 6:08 on this Saturday for Shine On Madison. We'll see you downtown. Buy every single one of your holiday gifts downtown. That's how you can help. We'll see you soon.